Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, thanks for joining. We were just chatting up on the importance of Avalaunch, and
Ah,
so really appreciate you joining. Just kind of wanted to introduce our projects, introduce you, and then just have a really good chat about DeFi, Avalanche, what you guys are doing. So you want to tell us a
yeah,
little bit about your background, how you started the project?
yeah, definitely. So me and my co-founders, we've all been working, building, doing things in crypto for many, many years. Um, all of us full time doing this essentially since 2017, but just involved in various ways, investing, marketing, things like that, many years before that. So we, came into Avalanche with a pretty strong um, crypto background of experience and like a pretty like good network and just kind of a feel for how to manage the insanity of that can be crypto, I would say. And all of us got really interested in Avalanche like pretty early, and we were kind of tracking it and watching it and seeing the community evolve. And over time, it just became so obvious that this was like different, like worthwhile. I was personally noticing things about Avalanche and particularly the community that just felt really different and like really special, certainly different than most other like ecosystems since Ethereum, because the people that have been here a long time remember Ethereum coming together and how cool that was, and like the sort of the world that opened up around that and what that felt like. And then you had after that like other ecosystems popping up, and for me personally, like I just never felt that same kind of like magic, I suppose, that same like excitement and passion. And I started noticing that happening in Avalanche, even very, very early. And so on top of like the very great technology that Avalanche represents, there was just this draw to be involved and participate. And in the early days, like I see a lot of guys that have been here for a long time. Everyone remembers like there wasn't necessarily the most activity or TVL or development even, but it still felt like a great place to be and hang out and build. And that was just really, really exciting to us. And the idea behind Avalaunch was to support that, like in any way that we could. And so the launchpad idea at the time, around the time Polka Starter was happening and things like that, presented itself as a good, decent way to do that, and be involved and contribute outside of the scope of like a single protocol or a DeFi project. Not to suggest that there isn't ways to contribute, but it just felt like the best way to put our skill sets to use. So we, started, integrating with the community, like introducing ourselves, getting into touch with Ava Labs, and just generally trying to be useful as much as we could. And we were here for several months, well before we did a sale or really did anything. And because like this is a real community of people, there was like stuff to do and ways to contribute and ways to be seen and ways to like have fun, and that like really speaks to what Avalanche is. And so the Launchpad is at this point, Avalanche has a lot of attention, and everyone that's been here a little while knew that was going to happen. And so now this, all the eyes are on Avalanche, and we think it's here to stay. So Avalaunch is a great way for us to continue to help and try and put like good projects in front of people and help other people that are maybe coming from other ecosystems and they're hearing about Avalanche now for the first time and exploring it and trying to figure out if it's right for them and what they want to build here and who do I talk to and how do I do this, and like it just allows us to contribute to that conversation, that process, which is just something we really enjoy because it's a lot of work and you have to enjoy it. And helping out this community is something that definitely feels like a really good thing to do. And I'm really excited about the next few months, the next years, and just sort of like it really feels like we're getting started here, and it's been a long time coming.
Yeah, that's great. It's really awesome to hear that you guys saw the potential of Avalanche early. I'm sure you guys could have launched on a number of networks, but you saw the potential and the growth of Avalanche, and you decided to build natively here, and that's really great to see.
Yeah, I mean, we could have, but we didn't because, like, again, this stuff's a lot of work and it's hard and it can be like iffy and perilous. And if you're not like really into it, like, you're just not going to hang around. And so there's just no other network that we really could have done it on because those ingredients that I was talking about, at least as far as I can tell, and everyone's different, right? They don't really exist anywhere else.
Oh, definitely. I really love the collaborative vibe of Avalanche. For a long time we were so small that directly competing didn't make sense. We just kind of had to help
Yeah,
lift each other up. And after Avalanche Rush and the new bridge, things just blew up. But we still have that small ecosystem vibe where everyone knows each other, everyone works together, even competing projects.
yeah,
That's really cool to see.
yeah,
So,
definitely.
yeah, I just wanted to kind of give a high level of the topics I want to touch on today. So,
Yep.
we got a good intro of you and your project, but let's talk about kind of our partnership. What do you look for when you work with Index? Let's talk about some IDOs that you have coming up. You just launched Yay, and I think I see you have like 5 more on the roadmap. That's great. And I'm
Hmm.
sure Justin has a few questions for you too.
Yeah.
So let's dive right into it. So Avalanche and Pangolin are formal partners, and even before that, we were just working together informally. Can you tell us like what an ideal platform looks for in a DEX when they want a partnership?
Yeah, sure. I mean, what it really comes down to is support, like in on a bunch of different levels. And so, when we're meeting a project, helping a project launch, there's a lot of conversations around, what's next, and where do we do our pools, and how do we get going, and what's the best way to build community, and we try and be really pretty impartial. Like you were saying before, like there's this kind of culture here of just sort of supporting where you can and lifting each other up. And with Pangolin, obviously one of the largest dexes in the ecosystem. The partnership for us is really about like offering that relationship and connecting the two teams. And saying, we've worked with these guys for a while now, and they've always done right by us, and they clearly do good work, and we want to connect you and see what you guys can make happen together. So like more than anything, really, it's about just kind of being the bridge. And again, we do like just so much like business development, I guess you could call it, in connecting people. And the Pangolin team is great, and the ability to do that easily, I think is really the heart at the collaboration. It's like put the people in the right places, and then you guys go and collaborate and do cool things together. And again, that's kind of what Avalaunch is about.
Yeah, that's a great answer, and appreciate you thinking of us in that way. And how about you, Justin? What Same question to you, but on the flip side, when we look for IDO partners, what makes a good launchpad partner, and why? What makes Avalanche the premier launchpad of Avalanche right now?
Yeah, thank you, Leo. Yeah, I mean, there's multiple reasons. I mean, ever since I've met Mark, he's been nothing but a perfect gentleman. Like just, the thing is in crypto, there's just some people that, their hearts are in the right place, and that's not often the case, unfortunately. And Mark's always looking to help people. He's always looking to, a rising tide lifts all ships. He kind of embodies that ethos, which I love. So that for me is obviously a no-brainer. But then beyond that, they've got a very interesting model. So they obviously vet the projects very well. They make sure there's good guidance. They've got a very good way of launching. Excuse me. So the thing is, you're looking for that full package, right? Because what you want quality. So within crypto, sometimes it's very hard to navigate those waters. Sometimes, you see projects and you don't know really what's going on behind the scenes. You don't really know the tech, like how skilled they are in certain of these technologies. It's a pretty new ecosystem, the EVM and Solidity in general. So having a premier launchpad like Avalaunch do all that hard work for you, it's the trust. You can trust that something launching on them is going to be awesome. And we've seen that with Yay Games, that I'm a big fan of theirs personally. Like, I'm a little worried because I might end up playing too many games, but it's an awesome project. And, yeah, I just give massive props to Mark and the team.
Yeah, thanks for that, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I completely agree, Justin. The first impression I got of Avalaunch is just how professional and personable they are. You know, when I first engaged with their community, it was actually to find somewhere to IDO for Sherpa Cash. And just the fact that you could connect right with the team. I think it was like David and Mark just in the
Hmm.
Telegram channels, talking to users, investors, potential projects. And just to see that level of engagement from the team showed that they really cared. They want to do this right. So I love to see that. And so yeah, that's great. We kind of talked about how we're a really good fit between our projects and what we look for in our partners. Let's talk a little bit about the actual IDO projects that you're working with, Mark. How did you find these projects, and what's the process to kind of pick one project over the other?
Yeah. How much time do we have? Um, it's cool, man, because there's kind of like a story behind everyone, and I could certainly talk about each one individually, and I'll try and keep it brief, but I do think it's like relevant, because it goes back to the sort of the theme of what the theme of the conversation has been so far. And so with Yay Games, that was awesome because these guys weren't, a part of that like core, early group that you were talking about before. And so as the first sale on Avalaunch, like tone wise, that may have like surprised people. Like, this is a cross chain project. They were originally building on BSC, and we met the team, and we wanted to support them over here. And so I think maybe I was worried, actually, to be completely honest, that would like give some people pause, right? Like I thought you were Avalaunch and your first sale is, a tried and true native project, and after considering it for a long time and meeting the team and understanding what they were building, and this is a part of why we do a lot of AMAs and education in our community. Like I want people to understand why we think this is valuable, like why this is a value add. And so part of what I looked at was that they had this huge, really like passionate, excited community that was on BSC. And after meeting with them and kind of like introing them to some people, and everyone was really excited about it. To me, it occurred to me that we now have this. The more eyes, the better, right? And so with EA Games, they had like 40,000 Twitter followers and a huge Telegram. And like these people are now looking at Avalanche maybe for the first time, at least some of them, right? And that is like a net benefit to the native ecosystem. So it really is a case by case thing. And I just think that's kind of like a cool approach to really look at each thing individually and decide like what's right and what isn't. So that is Yay Games. We also have Kaleo coming up soon, and I had been, like Leo, you mentioned when we had originally met about Sherpa Cash. Like I met these guys around the same time, and it was just it's like become a cool personal relationship over a series of months, and they've come a long way, and it just feels good to like kind of be able to support that. The timing was right, and they were able to build and product and community. And then, when they were ready for a public sale, because that's another consideration, like being ready for it, it worked. And again, very cool. Then we also have Colony coming up. Colony's a little further out, but very, very interesting project that Avalaunch is helping incubate. And this is a Avalanche specific decentralized VC initiative. And so the idea here is to take something like a regulated VC fund structure, which has access to deals and relationships and network that retail typically doesn't for one reason or another, and bring this to retail. And so the Colony token is about sharing value and profits of early stage Avalanche deals back to the retail community and the token holder. And I think this is a good solution for a problem that we see a lot, which is like retail wanting to be earlier, public sale people wanting to be earlier, and not having the access for whatever reason. I think it goes a long way in solving that. The architecture is very cool. It's very unique. The team is great. Good, strong backing. We've been helping them for several months. Again, this came out of the Avalanche community. These are French Avalanche guys. They love the network like we do, and so it's kind of a perfect fit. We also have Rise Online, the Roku token, which is similar-ish in theory to Yay Games, in that it's like a game development platform and incubator, and they offer lots of cool tools and marketplaces, and even a launchpad 4 games, and and we don't have any issue with with having more launch pads. There's like plenty of activity to support here, and then they also have Rise Online, which is the first game powered by the Roku token, which is this huge, beautiful, massive online multiplayer game that's built on Avalanche. So pretty awesome. And I'm just trying to think if I've missed any. I feel like I am. And then O Finance. And O Finance is we actually met with this team here in Los Angeles. They flew down to film some content with us, some educational content that we're going to be putting out around the time of the sale. And this is a yield, a stablecoin yield platform, sort of for like the everyman, I suppose, the people that aren't so crypto native, that are maybe not so happy with the yield they're getting in their savings account, and they're hearing about all these great yields in crypto, and they're sort of trying to dip their toes in. So it's kind of a professional, polished platform for stable coins, but the team building it is very, very crypto native, and they're writing a lot of very interesting strategies, degen type yield strategies, but for kind of everybody. So you don't have to abstract some of the complexity away. And that's also something that we're really excited about. The team has a very strong background in like the traditional technology world, Amazon, Microsoft, Google, some pretty good experience. And so, then we have some stuff we haven't announced yet that we're going to kind of slot in there that we're going to keep everyone guessing. So I feel like it just represents a really broad, complete like roster of projects coming to Avalanche, and and now we're just getting a ton of interest of really good, strong teams, that have woken up to Avalanche, and they're like, this is where we should be. And it's just, it's a really exciting time, and there's just so much good stuff coming, and it's going to be like an amazing, next year.
Yeah, that sounds really exciting. Those sound like very strong projects, and I like how you met each of them in kind of a unique way.
Yeah.
And yeah, so what about you, Justin? What projects launching soon on Avalanche have you looked into and are excited about?
Yeah, so obviously, I mean, we're in a very fortunate position that we actually get to meet these talented teams and talk to them.
Yeah.
Obviously, Yay Games is very exciting. I'm very keen to play. I know they've got like a kind of premier title which they're looking to launch. I signed up for the whitelist, so I'm very excited about that. Calo, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I love that. I think they've got such a cool. You know, they're a cool team. We've met with them.
Yeah.
They've been super nice to everyone in the ecosystem with, kind of reaching out to multiple projects, getting NFTs. So I've loved their approach. Like they're super kind of engaging, and
Yeah.
they've really embedded themselves in the community. So I think they've done a fantastic job.
Yeah. They're super, super nice guys, like the sweetest guys, super professional, sharp. Like they're like a real pleasure to work with.
Yeah, I just had my first engagement with that team. Pangolin's looking to kind of launch an NFT series just for the community to have fun with NFTs. But we don't have a platform ourselves. We don't have an artist, so we just reached out to see if they could help. And the next day, today, they hooked us up with an artist, and they had a presentation ready for us and everything. Very professional. That was great to see. Yeah, so one more question just specifically about your IDOs, and then let's kind of take it high level and just talk about Avalanche Rush in general. So your Yay Games IDO, from my perspective, that went very smoothly. But what about from yours? Were there any hiccups behind the scenes that we don't know about, or was it a really good launch for you?
So all things considered, I like couldn't be happier, how that went as a first launch. It's a like putting that product out and those contracts out, and all the front end and back end stuff. Like it's from I'll speak for myself, like a Herculean effort. And so, it went really smooth, and we were really, really happy about it. That's not to say that we didn't have learnings from the sale, and this is how products evolve. Like you put it in front of users. We had a great testing group of like 35 people that just like ruthlessly took this thing apart, and they were awesome. And I'm super, super grateful for those guys because they really improved the product, and I'm really, really glad we did it. We took the time to kind of give it to them and build on their feedback, and it was a really, really smart decision. but there's things that we can, do better. And we already have some improvements built for the next sale. Those are being audited right now. We're going to put an article about that soon. And this was just based on, what we saw, what we observed, and we had thousands and thousands and thousands of people hammering at the thing. And it's hard to understand. Like, you can think about this stuff for so long, and we got really close, I think. But naturally, when you get a lot of users, you see things that only present themselves with that kind of demand. So there's some things around, I think, larger allocation. I think we did a really good job for the stakers, like a reordering of the rounds that kind of makes more sense. Some stuff to discourage people from registering with no real intention of participating. We saw a lot of that, and because we have guaranteed allocations, we take a look at that registration and we start doing some like distribution analysis around stakes and things like that. And with these people who register, you account for them, right? And if they don't show up, it kind of puts everybody else in a bad position. And so we're going to integrate some things to discourage some of that, which I think will help with the allocation sizes. And also probably longer rounds. Each round was 3 hours, which we felt was, longer than most sales. Most sales are over in 2 minutes. And that's like not a great experience in our opinion for anyone really, the team or running the sale or the community beating at the door to get in. But they'll be longer this time to accommodate for like various time zones. So I think the next sale, the rounds, instead of 3, they'll be like 12 hours. So again, it's just very different. And instead of this like huge rush to the door and like everybody's clawing at each other for their allocations, it's like the sale will take place over the course of a day and a half. So just fundamentally a totally different vibe than most other launch pads. And, there's some things I'll say for the announcement, but that's like generally the gist of it. So I think the idea there is we're always listening, we're always watching, we're always trying to do better, and we're willing to continue to build and, and try and do it fast and just progress and evolve with Avalanche. Like, I think that's the thing that people have to understand is, we try and get this stuff in a way that's like really clear and concise and useful, but like you have to be willing to live with it and work with it, and that's really our commitment. And I think maybe what I'll just leave it at that. That's our commitment to our community. Really, it's just to keep progressing, and I think people can appreciate that.
Well, yeah, that's a great answer, and I really love how humble the approach is from Avalaunch. Even though you are kind of the gold standard of IDO platforms on Avalanche, you still have that approach where you can always get better. You're always listening to feedback, and that's really good to hear.
Yeah, of course.
And Justin, do you have any thoughts on that? Do we kind of have a similar approach at Pangolin?
Yeah, definitely. I think, that's the cool thing. It can be a very challenging thing, but you build and you learn in public, and in a very public manner.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, it's very cool. But it can be sometimes emotionally a little challenging when people are
Mm-hmm.
constantly shouting. But it helps you improve at a very
Yeah.
rapid rate. So
Right.
it's a cool thing.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. That's awesome, and I'm really glad that the Yay Games IDO went well.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, I'd love to hear your experience with the Avalanche Rush with the new bridge, because I know for Pangolin, it's been night and day. Previous to
Yeah.
the Rush, we were having trouble, getting users, getting partners, getting anyone to pay attention to Avalanche, really.
Yeah.
And now, things have gone 10x in terms of size, speed, volume. You had to hire like 5 more moderators just to keep up with demand.
Yeah.
What's it been like in the Avalaunch project?
It's been awesome, and like validating and exciting, because as a launch pad, like in many ways, right, our product is like the sale. Like that is the platform. The sales, the quality of the projects coming through them, and our ability to like get people interested and excited about these things that we think are valuable. And so when we were here and building a part of the community, when things were like less active, we were looking at the landscape and great teams, and and it was just but it was also limited, and I wouldn't say I was concerned because I knew we would get here, right? But everyone has this expectation as a launch pad, like it's time to start doing projects. You need to do them now. Well, it's like maybe the time isn't right, and so that's a very tricky thing to manage as a launch pad, like keeping a community who's there for sales happy when there's no sales. And so we're really, really thrilled that we got here kind of so fast. I think everybody that had been here and was building, like you guys and the earlier people, certainly earlier than us, like knew one day like this would happen. But it was great. The timing was great. Their first sale with the combination of Avalanche Rush and like the broader crypto world kind of waking up. Like we didn't plan that. We didn't time it. It was just kind of worked, and that's the the magic of crypto, I suppose. So, it's been really cool to see, and it definitely makes our lives a lot easier because now there's a lot of demand, like the same demand you guys are seeing, just in different ways. People want access to the Avalanche community. They're seeing how great it is. They're seeing how easy it is to build here, and then they can deploy their contracts and have like a real community that's interested and curious about what they're doing. Like, I just can't tell you how many times I talk to teams that have like attempted to do this in other ecosystems and other chains, and they just can't like go on enough about how different it feels to be here and build here and how exciting it feels. And like, often I hear it's like sort of like a return to why they got into crypto, and it's like really refreshing, and like that's just like such a cool thing to hear. So I have all the confidence in the world that this whole ecosystem will continue to bloom and just really really impress everybody. And that's why we're here, like just to watch that unfold and support it.
Yeah, that's great, and I totally resonate with what you said about how exciting it feels here. This isn't the first place that had a DeFi boom, but it
Yeah.
certainly feels that way almost.
Yeah.
And what about you, Justin? What kind of feelings, experiences did you have uh, during the Avalanche Rush?
Yeah, Avalanche Rush was obviously awesome in a lot of ways. Like it's very interesting to see how a community of builders and an ecosystem can change so rapidly, and I think that's a very unique thing to crypto. You can have a community and people building and they're doing the exact same thing on Monday, but on Friday the whole world has changed. and it's amazing, it's exhilarating. It can be a little scary sometimes. But it's amazing. I mean, we all knew Avalanche was amazing, right? Like everyone knows how legitimate, and that's why we were building here, or why we are building
Hmm.
here. But then it's interesting to see how capital, an influx of capital can then change a broader perspective, and then people kind of come in, and you're seeing these people come in, and yeah, it's just interesting. It's very cool to see. It's obviously raised the profile of Avalanche a lot, and it's a kind of rising tide lifts all ships. All projects
Hmm.
within the ecosystem have benefited. I mean, I spoke to some projects and like super cool guys, and these dudes are like so talented and really good, and no one was really paying attention to their project. They were looking for funding, and then the Avalanche Rush came, and their token did really well, and now these guys were
Hmm.
able to actually continue building and carry on contributing to the ecosystem. And there's hundreds of these little stories of these,
Yeah.
and it's really good to see because these guys are putting in so much hours, so much work from a broader community, which was just great to see.
Yeah, I think that's one of the coolest parts, and like we take zero credit for this, but it is validating in that way. Like, Avalaunch and everyone that was building here early, like there was a bet on this thing that we saw the potential and believed in, and like so often in crypto, like you look back and you're like, oh, that was so obvious, and like to have been here for like a year and just kind of doing it and believing in it, and then that kind of coming to pass, like it just feels really good to sort of have been right about that, and the thing that you believed in was true. Like I think it's been a really cool feeling.
Yeah, no, I'm still blown away by what's been going on recently compared to what it was like just 1 month ago.
Yeah.
So I've got one last topic, and then I'll open it up to you guys to ask questions or bring up topics, and then we'll also let the listeners request speaker access to ask any questions of both teams. So my last topic is just kind of this multi-chain world. Avalanche isn't the only network with a lot of momentum right now. There are others, but from your perspective, Mark, is a multi-chain world in the roadmap for Avalaunch, and what makes you think that Avalanche makes Avalanche stand out from these other chains like Phantom, like Polygon?
Yeah, and so this is something we talk about a lot and think about a lot. And our current position on this is, we're never going to. I mean, it's Avalanche, right? Like, we are here day to day, and this is what we want to support. This is what we understand and know and believe in. So, Avalanche going to Polygon or BSC makes zero sense. It's not interesting to us. Like, again, it just goes back to the stuff's hard, and you have to have some conviction to keep you going day to day, something to believe in. And this is where this is what we believe in. So, in terms of being other places, no. Now, what I said about Yay Games earlier is still true. I think there's value in supporting projects that are integrating and bringing new users and kind of leveraging that network effect. And it's always case by case. Like, that doesn't mean that every BSC project or ETH project is integrating, in our opinion, is kind of like worth our time. But in this case, we believed it was, and I think that ended up probably being true. And so, it's just our position on this is always going to evolve as the world evolves. It's you got to look at each situation individually, see where the value is, see where the trade-offs are. But in terms of Avalaunch, existing on another chain and supporting native projects somewhere else, no, absolutely not. That just wouldn't make much sense to me.
Yeah, that's great. It's funny you mentioned. I mean, it's Avalaunch, so it's kind of in your name that you're going to just be
Yeah, Avalaunch
Avalanche
on
native.
Polygon. Yeah.
And yeah, so what about you, Justin? Like a lot of people ask this. It's just why Avalanche over other chains, and everyone has their own perspective, and I'm curious to hear yours too.
Yeah, I mean, I love this question because then I can nerd out on all the cool stuff. I mean, so many people kind of go to Avalanche and they're like, oh yeah, C chain. I mean, you got to think like the way I think is I always look at ceilings. Like, what's the ceiling of what is possible? So if you think of like the C chain is an EVM compatible chain, but that's feature parity or like it's compatible to Ethereum. But then you add in all of these other things, and I know some people say subnets, yeah, they're evolving. But you look at Polkadot and Kusama, and they're doing parachains, and how long has that been a project? And you look at the progress that Ava Labs has made. So I always look at like what is if I could think of the craziest, maddest idea, is it possible? And Avalanche allows me to think the most creativity, the most outrageous, ambitious things I can think of are all achievable here. And I can think of other projects where I have to limit my creativity. You have to go, oh yeah, no, we can't do this because there's kind of restrictions on the technology, or it's not on their roadmap, or they're doing a new upgrade that's going to take a year or two, and even then it's not going to be possible. For me personally, like Avalanche doesn't, it's limitless what you can build here, and that's just amazing.
Yeah, I really love both of those perspectives, and I think one one advantage of Avalanche that doesn't get talked about enough is just how strong the Ava Labs team is in
hmm
terms of the individual talent. Every person I've met and worked with from Ava
hmm
Labs is a rock star.
Yeah.
And just the vision and the execution of their roadmap is just so on point and professional. I think that the technology itself is already great, but the team running it is equally impressive, and that combination I think makes Avalanche the best chain to build on right now.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. I talk about this, with like teams that sort of courting, like, come build here, and I really believe that, like, in this the crypto space is just insanely competitive at this point, and there's just so much money on the table. You really do need an organization, and this is just my opinion, of talented professionals to kind of support it and get good builders and onboard them and help them, in this day and age. And I just think Ava Labs is incredible, and they've helped us out a lot. And we definitely aren't the official launch pad of Ava Labs. Like, they'd support anything we're supporting, but they've just been so helpful to us, and I've been really grateful for that. And you're right, just really, really smart, talented, useful, helpful people. They're awesome.
Totally. Okay, so before we open it up to audience questions, do you, Mark, or Justin have any topics or questions you want to bring up?
Not me personally, man. I'm just I'm happy to answer any questions that the listeners might have.
Yeah, I'm happy with any questions.
Okay, awesome. Hey, thanks for listening in, everyone. Does anyone have a question for Avalaunch or Pangolin? Just hit the request speaker button, and we'll let you chime in. Okay, not getting any requests yet.
Yeah.
But
Crickets.
crickets. Okay. Well, just got
Fun.
one more. Just got one more question for you, Mark. I'm interested. These. Oh, actually, we just got a request. Let me add them as a speaker.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to thank you for giving us this platform. I don't know what time is it there, but it's 1 a.m. in the morning. So I would like to ask to you as individuals. Like, we all know that there has been a good seed sale on Rocosoft, the project Rocosoft. I would like to ask to you as individuals, what are your thoughts on Rocosoft?
Yeah, I mean, I can start with that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the thing that originally impressed me about the team, and there's always a process like uncovering what a team is up to, especially when there's a lot going on, is that the background of the team behind it. These are experienced game developers. It's a Turkish team, and we all know, the Avalanche community is huge and passionate in Turkey, and they've been a
Mm-hmm.
part of the community for a long time, which is awesome. But their background is impressive in that they have, an 8-9 year history of building cool, great, successful, profitable games. So, a lot of times when you see people getting into gaming on the blockchain, it's the experience can be limited. Not always, but one of the things that I liked about them is they have this track record of building great games. And the game Rise is super impressive, and we've just been I have personally been ready for larger scale games to finally get to the blockchain, and kind of open that world up. Since I've been here originally, it was always it's always something I wanted to see. So I was personally very, very excited about it. And from my personal perspective, working with this team, they have a ton of integrity. We met with them very, very early, and worked with them for a number of months, helping them understand some things around the token sale and the tokenomics, and because we're pretty good at this stuff. And as we got closer to the sale, they got a lot of attention from other ecosystems, big offers, other just there were a lot of people coming for them, let's say, and they were just no, you know what, these guys have helped us, we believe in Avalanche. And they could have easily just been this is a better offer, better deal, or whatever, who knows. But they really liked Avalanche. They were loyal to the relationship that we had, and that kind of integrity is really, really important to us. So, I have kind of high hopes for what they're going to build, and also the team's ability to deliver it.
Yeah, that answers a lot. I was curious about the situations about this project, so I would like to ask you this question. I was,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So thank you. I'm really excited about this, and I hope I can see a lot more in the future, for the project Rocosoft. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the question.
Hey, thanks for popping on and asking the question. Really appreciate it. And we'll try to pick a better time so you don't have to get on at 1 a.m. next time. Okay. So I see another request. I'm going to add them as a speaker. And I see Colin joined. Hey, Colin, how's it going? I really love your streams that you do for
Colin.
Avalanche DeFi. Those are fun. Okay, I'm going to add one more speaker for a question here. Hey, how are you? Doc.
I'm the founder at One Universe Energy LLC. I am interested in utilizing Avalaunch for green energy assets investments in developing countries. I wonder how you guys could help me out with that.
Did you say you were interested in Avalanche or Avalaunch?
Avalaunch in utilizing for energy asset investment in developing countries.
Right. So, I mean, if there's a technology and a project you're interested in bringing to Avalanche and potentially looking for some support through Avalanche, the best place to start here, typically, especially for a project of the scope that I think you're talking about, is linking up with the business development arm of Ava Labs and figuring out what kind of resources you can acquire to get supported in those efforts, because they sound important. The Ava Labs has a lot of grants and things like that for good projects, and I think that would be a reasonable place to start. And then beyond that, projects evolve over time, and when they're really early, sometimes they're not necessarily prepared for public consumption. And so as you get further down the road and things come together at a more fundamental level, I don't have a sense of where your project is at. We could talk and figure out what makes sense to get your project exposed to more people in the community. But it's it's a process, and it's a open network. And I don't know much about you or your project, so it's hard for me to exactly say. But if you're not already really deeply involved in the community and have reached out to Ava Labs, that's where I would start, because that's going to offer you the best foundation.
Thank you, and this is great. And I've already sent a couple of emails to Ava Labs guys. They haven't got back to me yet. I'm sure they are busy, but I think you guys have a solid foundation. Sorry.
Thank you. Did we lose him?
Hey, are you still there? Did you get your question answered, or do you have any more questions for us? Okay, I think the audio cut out, but just to reiterate, yeah, Ava Labs is definitely the place to start if you're a new project, just looking to get your foot in the door, get a grant, make some connections and network. They're extremely helpful. They have a very strong business development team. If you're unable to reach them directly, just ping someone at Pangolin or Avalaunch. We can hook you up on Telegram or Discord. So that's a good question.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else have questions for Pangolin, for Mark at Avalaunch?
Yeah, I see Colin join the stream. Colin's been a huge help to the project. I met Colin through, I think, one of our early advisors, Fareed, and well before we had anything really like solid. We talked a lot, and he really went out of his way to understand what we were doing and why it might be valuable to anyone. So just want to give a thanks to Colin for that.
Thanks, man. Yeah, no problem. I'm glad to hear things are rolling along so well, too, and I like to see the progress. It's great.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Hey, Colin, welcome. So for those who don't know, Colin runs, I think, an almost daily stream where he kind of just plays with different Avalanche DeFi apps, and it's really fun. I think the other day I saw someone buy him a boost on the stream, and he had to do a little dance, and that was fun too. But, hey, Colin, welcome.
Yeah, I dance like a little monkey. If you give me, I have a little reward points that you learn on Twitch, and if somebody spends them, that'll make me dance like a little monkey. But yeah, no, I'm doing the Twitch thing, trying to evangelize Avalanche, and every one of the DeFi apps that are out there, including Pangolin, as well as things that are just non-DeFi, as well as dunk on every other protocol, it seems, which people keep telling me to stop doing, but sometimes I can't help myself. But yeah, if you want to come in, you want to
really
talk about anything. I'm Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'm 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, U.S. I'm available to chat.
Yeah, that's great. And I really appreciate you doing this for the community and for Avalanche, Colin. This is Leo, by the way, from Pangolin. I really think that growth of networks, of projects, isn't through the $100,000 ads. It's through people like Colin doing his streams, talking to the community every day, being active on Twitter. I think that's actually the best way to grow awareness and build strong communities. So I really appreciate that.
For sure.
Okay. We're coming up on a good time. Anyone else have questions for Pangolin, Avalaunch? Colin, did you have any questions for or comments about Pangolin and Avalaunch specifically? Would love to hear your thoughts.
I love your guys' work. Thank you very much for doing it. It's really appreciated to see you guys jump in so early on a protocol that hadn't even reached the level it's at right now and believe in it. To the way that I kind of did. Kinda. I mean, I literally sold my house to go build this thing. So I really appreciate you guys taking that much risk as well. Once we kind of proved it out and showed that it worked, I'm just stoked to watch all this kind of come together. One of the things I've said recently on a tweet was basically, it's really exciting to watch your friends build something on a network that you helped put together. And I consider you all friends, and I really appreciate what you're doing for this network and the community. So thanks.
Very cool.
Hey, I really appreciate that, Colin. Okay, well, I think we got a couple questions. We got Colin on, which is awesome. And I think we can wrap up here. So really appreciate you coming on, Mark, sharing your story with Avalaunch. I really appreciate you, Justin, from Pangolin, sharing your thoughts too. Do you guys have any final words for the listeners before we wrap up here?
Yeah, I mean, it's a pleasure. Thanks for having me. This is what I love about Avalanche is connecting, hanging out, and talking about cool things and building good stuff. And we have some more sales coming up here very soon, and I think everyone will like them. Stay tuned.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to you, Leo. I think, you are kind of doing such an incredible job, man. And like you talk about that embracive aspect of Avalanche, where a lot of kind of projects, they talk about how when they come to Avalanche, they know things are different, like people are way cooler. And I think, Leo, you're a huge part of that. And then to kind of go on to Colin's point, like building with friends, like I see so many cool people in this, just literally the space. Like, and like, yeah, it's real. It's literally like for me personally, this is the best job in the world, and there's nothing I'd rather be doing.
Second that.
Yep, me too. So, all right, everyone, thank you for listening in and have a great weekend. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers, everyone.